All right, good afternoon, class. Today we're going to be focusing in on our community helpers unit, and we're going to be going over being able to identify the community helper that is involved with fighting fires. Now, what we have here is our KWL chart, and we know that our K stands for what we know, our W stands for what we want to learn or what we haven't figured out yet, and the L is going to be what we learned, and we're going to fill that in after our activity today. So right now, I would just like Johnny and Steven right here to have an accountable talk discussion about what they know about what to do when there's a fire, and we can see what we know. Okay, after the discussion is over, let's hear and share out. We're going to popcorn out our answers, and remember to always be respectful to everybody's answers, and let's not step on each other's words when we are talking, and let's give everybody a fair shot. Johnny, yes, you want to go first? Okay, you know that you have to call a fireman. Yes, we do have to call a fireman. So let's put that under our K area. Great job, great job. Do you know anything else? Do you want to share out? Okay, yes, fire is hot. Yes. Great answer. And this is actually really good answers. This ties into the vocabulary that we're going to see in a little bit. Steve, would you like to answer some? Yes. You do call 911 if you see a fire. It seems like we're actually pretty knowledgeable in this, guys, you know? In the first grade, these are some things that maybe we should know, especially at this age. It's definitely important to understand what to do when there's a fire. Now, let's think about what would we like to learn? Yes, John, that's a very good question. What do firemen wear? Right? I would like to understand that too, because I know that they run into these big burning buildings or where there's a fire, and we don't know what really gets to protect them from it, right? That's a very, very good question. Steve, do you have any question that you'd like to ask? How do fires start? That's a very good question. And it's good that you asked that, because in our science lesson in a few days, we're going to be going over how fire starts and what we could do to prevent it and what fire really lives off of in order for it to spread. Okay? With this being said, let's turn into our video that we have here, our community helpers video, and we're gonna see what the video is about, and it's gonna introduce you guys to the community helpers topic.
The fireman's head from heavy falling objects.
Good thing I was wearing this helmet.
Gloves protect the fireman's hands from hot and sharp things.
Glad I was wearing these gloves.
A ladder helps the fireman reach high places.
Thanks, Giraffe. Thanks, Ladder.
A walkie-talkie enables
Okay.
the fireman to be
Now, that was a really good video, and it showed us a lot about firemen and what they wear and what they do. Let's now just go over our vocabulary words for this unit as well, and these are the words that we are going to be using on our word wall. So if we ever need to answer a question, or if we don't understand how to spell a word, or if we just don't know what one of the words means, we can look at our word wall, and we have cool pictures and definitions with our words. So since we're in community helpers, let's just start off with the definition of community first, okay? Community is a group of people living in the same place, all right? And just like we are a little community in this classroom, there's a little bit of a larger community outside of our classroom, and that's what we're going over today. The helpers are in our community. Next, we have firemen, right? And with the fireman is the community helper that puts out the fires, right? They save our lives. They are heroes to us. And this is what they tend to look like sometimes, right? Next, smoke, all right? This is a picture of smoke, and smoke is a gas that is produced by burning objects. So anything that is on fire produces this gas called smoke, right? And we don't like smoke. It's not easy to breathe in, and it's usually the sign of a fire nearby. And look, there was a fire nearby, and we have one right here, guys. Except this one's not hot. It's not burning my hands. Fire is a burning gas that is very hot, right? And we're going to learn a little bit more about that during our science lessons too. But we know that fire is bad, and the community helper that helps us here is the fireman, and he puts these out. Next, we have a hydrant, right? And a hydrant is where a fireman gets water to fight fires, right? And there's a certain object that gets hooked up to here. Does anybody know the object that gets hooked up to the fire hydrant? Well, yes, John. You want to answer? Thank you. Yes, it is a hose. And right here we have the fire hose. And the hose is a tube that allows water to flow through it. Right? Sometimes we see mommy and daddy watering the grass outside, and sometimes you'll see the fireman hooking up a hose to the hydrant in order to put out the fire. And this, an alarm, right? Some of us use these to get up in the morning, but the firemen use an alarm for something else. And an alarm will tell them that somebody's calling 911 and that there's a fire for them to put out. And inside the firehouse, they may be doing different things like cleaning the trucks or cooking food. And when the alarm goes off, they stop what they're doing and they run to the fire trucks and they go put out the fire. And here we have a helmet. And it's a little different looking than the helmets that we use when we're riding our bikes and rollerblading. This is a fireman helmet, and it does protect your head. And firemen need to wear these big helmets because inside fires, there could be wood that falls down and large objects, and we don't want to get their heads hurt, right? They need to save lives, and they need to put out the fire, and this helps them. And our last vocabulary word for this unit is siren. A siren are flashing lights, and this one is found on top of a fire truck, and sometimes we do see them in other places with our other community helpers that we went over last week. Does anybody remember what community helpers we went over last week that also have sirens? Yes, Steve, ambulance, right? Ambulances have sirens on them. And yes, John, police do too. And when we see sirens in the road, we have to try to get out of the way and let them go save the day. Okay, and now we are going to break up into our reading groups, and we are going to do our activity. John, here, you are going to be using the Scholastic news article on firemen, and you're going to be sitting in your area with your table, and you're going to be able to read through the fireman story. And Steve, you are going to use the online component, and you are going to listen to the story on your headphones. And it's the same exact story that everybody else is reading, but you're going to listen to yours. All right, and just to show you how it works, you press listen.
I am a firefighter. The fire alarm rings. I slide down the pole.
And so on and so forth. So you guys are going to read real fast while I rotate through the room, and if you guys need any help with anything, you just let me know, and I will come by and help you. Oh, great job. Awesome. Awesome work. Okay, now that the activity is over, let's join back up at the meeting area. And let's fill in the last section of our KWL chart, and that is the L section. And this is going to be what we learned. And it doesn't necessarily have to build off of the questions that we put on our chart to begin with. It could also be anything that new that you learned. So who would like to share what we learned first? Oh, John? Okay. What did you learn? Well, you did pose the question, what do firemen wear? And that's good that you're answering that. And through our vocabulary words and our video and your sheet, we were able to see that, yes, firemen do wear helmets. Gloves, good. Oh, and boots. That was really good too. Thank you. Oh, Steve, you wanted to answer the question, how do fires start? Well, those videos didn't really show us how fire started yet, but we're going to definitely visit that during the science lesson in a day. Oh, but you still want to share out. Very, very great job. I want to encourage you to always share out things that you know, right? Oh, you want to say that they drive fire trucks? That's perfect. Awesome. They do drive fire trucks. Oh, and you know that they have sirens all over them? Very good. Very good. Now remember, guys, our KWL chart is going to stay up during this whole unit, and we can always add to it whenever you want. If you say, hey, Mr. Levine, we figured out something new that's not on the chart, and we will definitely add it to it, okay? And right now, we are going to get our assessment. And let's just talk about what we are going to do really quick. Based off of everything that we did today, we have what's called an exit slip. And our exit slip poses the question, what should you do if there is a fire? And in parentheses, we put, who should you call? All right, and you could answer that in a full, complete sentence if you can. Always try your best. All right, and we have our success criteria at the bottom, right, which tells us and it helps us complete our tasks, okay? And it says here, use your Scholastic News article and KWL chart to help answer the question. So you could use this stuff in order to help you answer. And remember, always try your best, okay? So you guys could go back to your desks now, and we will hand out the exit slips, and I will come around to collect it. We will set the timer on the board for around 5 to 10 minutes. All right, class, you may begin. And that is the end of the lesson. Thank you.